Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode of Rippin' the Fence, we're going to be breaking down everything we saw from Texas Motor Speedway. Before we hop into the videos, I want to quickly remind you guys to hit that like button and subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it if you guys did that. As always, Matthew, my friend and co-host, is on the channel, on the video. A little bit of transparency here. We were recording this on Wednesday. We tried recording it on Sunday, but I made a mistake on my end, so apologies for that. You guys can roast me in the comments for this video coming out a few days late. But without further ado, Matthew can go ahead and show how he is feeling. I think it's actually getting a little hot in here. I'm going to take this jacket off real quick. So, Matthew, go ahead and tell everybody how you're feeling before we hop into this video.
Well, I'm doing good actually, and I actually want to congratulate Kyle Busch and Rowdy Nation, which I'm a part of, for winning Friday night's truck race at Texas Motor Speedway in that beautiful wheel tree truck for Spire Motorsports, which I'm repping right now. And yeah, that's I want to start it off that way. Um, you know, amazing winner, but all seriousness, Jimmy, I am happy for you. I know you've been suffering this past year and a half, basically, and I am very happy for you. But that's it. As for the other people that are in your little circle, your little fan base, not so much.
I appreciate that. At least we both had something to celebrate this weekend. But yeah, it was a rough year and a half, and I'll kind of go into that more in detail later. Let's quickly talk about the truck and Xfinity race. As you mentioned, Kyle Busch won the truck race. But he had to earn it. He may have led a lot of laps in the stat sheet, but he had to hold off a lot of young guns like, Corey Heim, Nicholas Sanchez, Christian Eckes. He had to hold them off late in the race. Very good race there. And then the Xfinity Series came down to a photo finish. One of those late race restarts with 10 or 20 to go. Ryan Sieg, out of nowhere, ended up taking the lead and had to hold off. Another caution came out, and he had to do I don't know if it was a green white checker or just under a few laps to go for the restart. But he jumped out to the lead, but Sam Mayer started catching him. Sam Mayer caught him and passed him in turn 3, slid up the tracks. Ryan Sieg came back to the bottom. They drag raced to the line side by side, and Sam Mayer barely edged out Ryan Sieg. I know a lot of people were probably pulling for Ryan Sieg as the underdog there to get his first career win. Almost got it, but very good finish there. Let's talk about the Cup Series race at Texas now. Everybody's favorite racetrack on the schedule. So Kyle Larson dominated the race early, but in stage 2 under caution, he actually lost a wheel. And the strange part about this is that they did a long green flag run before that caution came out. So usually when these wheels come off, it's right after a pit stop. But he had ran a decent amount of laps under green, and then the caution came out, and his tire just came off out of nowhere. So that was very interesting to see that. So he had to come down pit road, serve a 2-lap penalty. I'm sure that there'll be announcements for crew members being suspended and all that stuff as well. But he had to be held 2 laps. He actually got both of those back by the end of stage 2 as well, which was very surprising. But I think he had a little bit of damage on his car from it bottoming out and just was not able to get back up to the front of the field. The Toyotas, they took over after that. Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin. Seemed like Reddick had the best car at this point in the race. Caution did come out with 39 laps to go, though, and that benefited drivers like Joe Logano, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, Corey LaJoie, Kyle Busch, and a few other drivers. They stayed out to catch a yellow, and they ended up doing so they were able to pit, gain a little bit of track position. But Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Ross Chastain, they stayed out, and they were able to cycle back to the front of the field. On that restart, Chase Elliott actually made a 3-wide move going into turn 1 to take the lead from Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick, but Denny Hamlin would catch him under green and pass Chase Elliott back for the lead. And Brad Keselowski was coming to the field because he had fresh tires. He got all the way up to 3rd, but another caution came out with 13 laps to go. Chase Elliott was able to get the lead from Denny Hamlin on the outside of that restart because the caution came out in turn 1, and due to the scoring loop, Chase Elliott was just barely ahead, so he was able to gain control of the lead on that restart. And then green white checker number 1, just a normal green white checker. Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin were side by side. Going into turn number 3, Denny Hamlin sent it in there on the outside, ended up getting loose in that slick stuff and went over that bump that was so treacherous all day. Ended up spinning out, backing it into the wall, ending his day. Caution comes out. Overtime restart number 1. It was Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain. Chase Elliott again was able to launch and gain the lead, but another caution came out. And then the second overtime restart, Chase Elliott and Ross Chastain again on the front row. Chase Elliott able to get the lead again, and then off of turn 2, William Byron and Ross Chastain made contact, and Ross Chastain ends up getting put into the wall. Caution comes out, the race is over. So I will quickly go over the results and then share everything that I have to say about this race. So results are on the screen for you guys, as always. Daniel Suarez 5th, good run for him. Bubba Wallace 7th. Honestly surprised Bubba Wallace didn't run stronger today, just because, especially last year, he was a very strong car and a threat to win the race. Still gets the top 10 though, good run for him. Both RCR cars, Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch, both get top 10s. Much needed results for that race team as a whole, just because they have had a very, very rough start to the season. And shout out to Carson Hocevar for getting his first career top 10 here at Texas. And he spun out earlier in the race too, I believe. So for him to be able to come back through the field, get a top 10, very strong run for him. I quickly want to go back to that incident on the final lap between William Byron and Ross Chastain. After the wreck, Ross Chastain declined to talk to the media about said situation on the final lap. And honestly, I hate to call Ross out for being a hypocrite here, but after all the stuff he's done over the past like 2 or 3 years, for him to come out and be a baby about it, be like, I don't want to talk to the media about it. Like, bro, come on. Like, you've gotten into it with Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, all these other drivers, and then when somebody does you dirty once, you get all upset about it? Like, come on. Like, I just don't get that at all. Hopefully he's able to speak on it and get over it, and honestly, it was just a racing deal. Like, he kind of cut off the corner a little bit, and William Byron closed the gap on him, and they just made contact. Like, it didn't look intentional at all, so I don't know. I just have to call Ross out on that one. That's just a baby move right there. Sorry, Ross, and any Ross fans out there. But anyways, time to talk about the race winner, Chase Elliott, and time to go on another little mini rant for all of you Chase Elliott haters out there, which they do exist, Matthew. They do exist. If you just go on Instagram to NASCAR's post about Chase Elliott winning, just click on the comments. You could scroll through them. There's a few Chase Elliott hater comments about him being the golden boy and NASCAR rigging the win for him, and he's the most popular driver. Da 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 da. NASCAR's favorite race car driver. All they exist. Those comments exist. So I'm gonna quickly address those few people that do exist. Chase Elliott did earn this win. He made a 3-wide pass for the lead on that first restart with 20 something to go. And then he gained the lead from Denny Hamlin on the other restart. And then he had to, as the race leader, he maintained the lead 3 times in overtime / green white checker restarts. So Chase Elliott did earn this win. Just wanted to say that real quick for any of those people who doubted that. But this was a 42 race winless streak that came to an end today, or on Sunday. And honestly, as obviously as a Chase Elliott fan, I'm very happy about that. It's been a rough year and a half for him, just with last year, the whole leg injury and all that, and then being suspended for a race. And then when he came back, he just didn't seem to click with the next gen car. It seemed like he kind of fell behind. A lot of other drivers ended up catching on. His teammates Kyle Larson and William Byron, they caught on. They were dominating and winning races last year. And even to the start of this year, Kyle Larson and William Byron, really strong. So really cool to finally see Chase break through after about a year and a half. It's also the first win for Hooters as the primary sponsor on the car since Alan Kawicki at Pocono in 1992, which is almost 32 years ago now, which is just crazy to think, just because Hooters has been yeah, been involved in the sport for so long, and I really like that Chase did a Polish victory lap to kind of celebrate that. I wish he kind of would have burned it down, but I can definitely respect him doing the Polish victory lap, paying tribute to Alan Quickie there. And Matthew's probably going to ask me a question about something about that sponsor, but I'll let him do that later. Um, but yeah, as for the racing itself today, turn four was a trouble spot all day because of the bumps, and then turn two was a trouble spot as well, just because of that. The old resin that was there, honestly, in both corners. So when it was not hot, it was basically slick. So it's pretty much like ice. The drivers kind of had to wear it in, as you could say, and it caught a lot of drivers today. Jimmy Johnson spun out in turn four. Christopher Bell, Mike McDowell, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin to the end of the race. He spun out in turn four right there as well. And turn two bit Caution Hocevar, Josh Berry, a few other drivers as well. So the track was very, very treacherous today, or on Sunday to say the least. And Jimmy Johnson, it was tough to watch him do this race today. He spun out by himself off of turn four, like I said. He did finish on the lead lap, but I was listening to the teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi, and they're like, if we're talking about Jimmy Johnson finishing on the lead lap as an accomplishment, then that's just like that's not what we want to talk about with Jimmy Johnson. He's won 7 championships, and just talking about him finishing on the lead lap as an accomplishment, um, he's gonna have his hands full with this next gen car for the other races he does this year. I thought Kevin Harvick did a pretty good job talking about that on the broadcast today as well, saying how much of a struggle it's been for Jimmy Johnson to adapt to this car and how much it will be for him to continue adapting to this race car. Um, and gotta talk about the Toyotas real quick as well because they had pit stop issues again. Martin Truex Jr. and Ty Gibbs, they both had an issue on the first pit stop of the day, and then Tyler Reddick under green, his final pit stop. They had a slow stop as well. He came in like 4 seconds ahead of Denny Hamlin, and Denny Hamlin passed him on pit road going off the track, and Tyler Reddick came out behind him, which is unbelievable how slow that pit stop was for Tyler Reddick. He ended up getting by Denny Hamlin again, so it didn't that pit stop necessarily didn't cost him the race, but definitely would have helped him out if they got that track position in front of him. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff that I want to talk about for this race. Quickly going back to Chase Elliott. Sorry, this is the final thing I'll talk about it. A lot of people are questioning whether he's a championship contender and all that kind of stuff. This is just stuff I've heard over the different podcasts I've listened to throughout the week, and I don't think he's necessarily there yet. Just because I think Denny Hamlin, William Byron, and Kyle Larson, those three are kind of in the S tier, I guess you could call it, and then there's the A tier, and there's probably you know Chase Elliott maybe in that tier. Maybe Martin Truex Jr. or Ty Gibbs just based on speed in general. But yeah, I don't think Chase is there just yet. He hasn't been dominating races like those other three drivers have. But this could set off a click, and Chase Elliott could go on a stretch in the summer like he did in 2022 and win a couple more races. I don't know, but yeah, I just quickly wanted to touch on that real quick. But other than that, I think that's about all I have to say. Matthew, what do you have to say about everything you saw from Texas this weekend?
All right, so before I dive into what happened this weekend, so Jimmy, are we gonna see you with some Hooters gear now? I mean, you're kind of don't have a choice now. You did win in the sponsor now, so kind of don't have a choice here. Hey, I found the perfect the perfect fit for you with that. The Hooters pit crew shirt, and then you get the Hooters of the big hat. That'd be just perfect.
I don't know about the big hat. Them things are pretty silly, but I will have to get
Come on, come on. That's the Hendrick Motorsports style now.
my first Hooters piece of memorabilia with the Chase Elliott raced version from Texas. I will have to get that, and there is confetti on it, so I think it's gonna look really good in person. I might have to get me a Hooters shirt or a hat, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I do have to save up for the throwback gear from Darlington because I definitely need to get that first. So maybe if I have some extra money after that, I'll get it. But definitely getting that race win diecast.
Well, at least we could just go to a Hooters then and celebrate that way. But we'll plan that later. Anyways, back to the race itself. Um, Going to Texas Motor Speedway, I was really looking forward to this race just because from the past 2 weeks of just the awful, the boring short track racing we've been getting, I was so over it. I'm like, I never thought I'd be saying it, but I was looking forward to Texas Motor Speedway more than Martinsville. And while yes, I was, I felt like yeah, I was right. But at the same time, Texas Motor Speedway is still the worst mile and a half on the schedule by a landslide. um, it's still it's still very hard to pass at that track because it's a single, basically a single lane, which is the bottom lane. And if anyone tried to go to the top, then it was basically a recipe for disaster. I mean, we saw a bunch of drivers that went up to that high lane, especially in 3 or 4. They just they just wrecked basically. Your day was done. I mean, Michael McDowell, um, that happened to Michael McDowell, happened to Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin late, Bubba Wallace, Briscoe, I think. Yeah. Um, that track is just very treacherous. And it is kind of ironic that Hamlin spun out late in that race on the on an SMI track where after the whole Marcus Smith fiasco the past week, it just seemed kind of ironic that Hamlin lost the race from one of his tracks. um, so I thought that was kind of ironic, but yeah, I thought the race was way better than it has been the past couple of weeks, but it still wasn't that great. Let's just be real here. It's still hard to pass. The surface is just very bad and very treacherous. And there's talks about getting the track reconfigured again and stuff like that. I actually proposed a great idea here. I think it'd be a great idea for Texas Motor Speedway to have a configuration what like Nashville Super Speedway is for like. Don't do it concrete. I'm not asking that, but do it like what Nashville Super Speedway is like, where you got the straightaways like a mile and a half, but the turns are like a short track basically, where you have to use so much braking. And I feel like that would be, I feel like that would be an interesting idea to reconfigure Texas if they are going to do that, which I'm hearing that they might be doing that maybe next year. But yeah, I think that would be a good idea to be honest. But anyways, um, Chase Elliott, of course, won the race. Which, like I said earlier, I am happy for Jimmy, but not very happy about the other people that are in those grandstands. Which you can tell me, Jimmy, all you want about Chase Elliott's hairs. I don't. You were probably too busy, jumping up and down your room, grabbing your bottles of champagne, and all. You were probably busy doing that. But if you listen to the TV, you heard all those war and cheering. You heard that, so I. It doesn't sound like a lot of haters over there. Especially at the track, I should say. But of course, social media is a different thing, and that's why, Jimmy, I don't look at comments on any post. That's my number one rule on social media. Do not look at comments, because there's gonna be some fool on there that's trying to get a reaction, and I don't do that. I don't care if it's the nicest post ever posted or a post that you're trying to get a reaction out of. So yeah, that's I think you should follow that rule, Jimmy. Let's just say that. Anyways, I'm getting out of subject here. Chase Elliott won. Now Jimmy, he did earn it. He did earn it. I'm not gonna make a bunch of excuses like I normally do. I'm gonna be nice today, but there was one instance, though, I will say, that he did get really lucky on, and that was literally the beginning of the race during the first round of green flag pit stops. He stayed out, trying to get a caution, and And basically, if a caution didn't come out, he was pretty much screwed because he was already like in the 20s when that was going on. And if the caution didn't come out, I don't know if he would have even been in the front today. Maybe he would, maybe he would not. But I think it would have been tough if a caution came out. But what do you know? A caution did come out right in the perfect time, courtesy of the 7-time champion himself. Um, and that was a big lucky break, and he was able to maintain that track position the rest of the day, which, hey, give credit where credit is due. But yeah, um, I will say that's the only time during that race where he really benefited out of a situation. But yeah, congrats to him. There was some other noticeable finishes. Tyler Reddick, who finishes top five. I think he had the best car at the end of that day, of end of the race. But unfortunately, this 2311 pit crew just it really gets on my nerves watching 2311 pit crew every single race. They're just screwing around. I mean, what are they doing in practice? I mean, that is just inexcusable to have a pit stop like that, especially when it's the money stop at late in the race. But overall, it didn't really impact much because the caution came out and he kind of got jumbled around the restart. So, still top five for him. Um, the fact that both RCR cars finished the top 10 is still the most amazing thing I've ever seen, considering how terrible they were all day. And somehow they finished top 10. So, I'll take it. And then Carson Hocevar, first top 10. Aspire Motorsports in the top 10, which that's amazing for that team, amazing for Hocevar. And yeah, uh, I don't really have much to say, I think. It was a decent race. Still way better than it has been the past couple weeks.
Yeah, and also Tyler Reddick, once he was back in that traffic, he did make a mistake. He did hit the wall in turn two, I believe, trying to get past. I think it was past Keselowski at the time. So that didn't help him either. He gained all that track position back and then gave all of it back when he hit the wall there. Um, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do our paint scheme of the race and rating the race as well. For me, for rating the race and just talking about the racing in general on the track, um, I think a lot of people are torn between like the quality of racing we saw and then like the entertainment factor we saw today, because the quality of racing might not have been the best today because it was still hard to pass, but there was a lot of chaos, and sometimes that makes a race good in a certain perspective as in form of entertainment goes. So for me, I'm kind of torn back and forth between this, so I'll give it, I guess, about a, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. And then my paint scheme of the race is actually going to be Daniel Suarez's Kubota car, and not necessarily just because of the color orange, but because of all the minor details on this paint scheme. So if you guys can see on the left side of the car, you see all those different little logos on the car, like the Mexican themes, like the little masks and the decorations and all that kind of stuff. There's even a little 99 on there. So I really love the details on this paint scheme. So that's why I'm going to choose that one for my favorite of the race. Matthew, what are you going to rate the race, and what was your favorite paint scheme?
I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 just because, while yes, I thought this was a definitely more action packed race than it has been lately. It still got a little too big, too a little bit too chaotic at the end. I feel like it kind of got a little messy, like the last 20 laps. I will say, like too, there was like just too many wrecks going on. Like they couldn't really complete a lap. It seemed like so. Well, yeah, the racing was pretty good, but a little chaotic at the end. So for me, in my opinion, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. And then my paint scheme in the race, it'll be Harrison Burns Freightliner car because anytime I see that paint scheme on the track, that's an automatic thumbs up for me because that paint scheme is just amazing. Every time I see it, it's just amazing.
Yeah, those final few restarts, I was just like, why couldn't it go green? Like, I wish when Denny Hamlin got loose, I wish he didn't wreck, because that just Chase Elliott was gone at that point. And then on the next one, when he got in front of Ross and they wrecked again, I was like, guys, just finish the darn race, please. And then like the final restart, they were talking about fuel and how he might run out of fuel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, don't even start with this conversation. So when he took the white flag, I was like, oh my gosh, is he gonna run out of fuel? With his luck, he's probably gonna run out of gas, and all that kind of stuff. So thankfully, they were able to finally finish that race. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Next week is Talladega, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm on iRacing. I've already done 3 races and have done somewhat okay, so hopefully we can continue that throughout the week. But yeah, Talladega is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you guys for watching this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.